This is The Edge, hosted by Scott Walker, with Andy Walker, the head golf coach at Eastern Michigan.
So it's great when I get to just talk golf in person with Andy, since, you know, the Zoom stuff, man, you know, it's for the birds. Let's just chop it up.
Yeah, man, we get to get down for real, you know, and it's good having you here, man. So
it's been great. I mean, the Michigan, you know, today as we're taping, it's completely smoking hot, and I hate that, but you're the Phoenix guy, you're okay with that.
I love it. I've been waiting. They've been saying for a whole year that next week it's going to get hot, and finally this week it got hot. So I can do this. I can sweat a little bit. I'm all right with it. I miss the desert. I miss Florida. I miss all kinds of heat. So it's welcome to stay for as long as possible.
All right. Well, let's talk through some of the stuff that we just saw. And we were at Detroit Golf Club for the Shippen, so the National Invitational. In this field, it was 17 African-American players on the men's side. They'd already played the women's side, where Bailey Davis had won and got an exemption into an LPGA event here in Michigan as well. So Joe Hooks wins, gets into the Rocket Classic, and what's interesting about the way that he approached it is he used his knowledge, his intimate knowledge of that golf club, to his advantage.
Well, you know, it was very telling of the maturation of Joe Hooks.
Yeah.
Right. We were talking to him about was he watching leaderboard? Did he know where he stood?
Right.
And he said he's just used previous knowledge from knowing the Rocket Classic. Right. So he said, coming down the stretch, you know, this hole's a little tougher here. If I make par, or if I happen to make bogey, I don't lose too much, you know, strokes to the field per se. And he said, but we knew we had to get 17. We knew we had to get some other holes, because he's seen the PGA Tour event so many times that, you know, these are the holes that everybody's getting. These are the holes that they may give one back, or if I make par, I still gain strokes to the field. And that was pretty telling. And I think that was very mature in the way he approached that, other than trying to find out what everyone is doing.
Right.
The good thing about the Shippen is it's a small field. Right. And you knew kind of where everyone was at and where they stood. And so, but I think coming down the stretch, he kind of knew where the battle was going to be. And and him and Kevin Hall were fighting coming down the stretch. So he took advantage of some of the opportunities and played great golf.
So you were talking about a little bit about the maturity. There are a couple of answers that you had for him. It was a great interview. So we have some clips that are already on our YouTube page, on our website, golf.theedge.show, golf.theedge.show. But I wanted to really talk about one specific thing about the importance of it. This is Joe Hooks talking about the importance of a Detroit native winning the Shippen, and not just about him, but about the impact it can have on the future of that event.
Me winning this tournament, that's going to do numbers for the John Shippen potentially continuing. And because, you know how the nature of the country right now, bro. Yeah, we always talk about, like, man, you don't know how much longer these type of events can go on. I think that just the story, man, is, I mean, I'm not saying that on the braggadocious, but I'm just saying, like, the story means so much to the continuance of the tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah. So what stood out when you heard him say that? Like, instantly, like I was behind the camera, I kind of perked up myself.
Well, I did, and it's something I never thought about. Yeah. And I always try to be very forward-thinking and think about, you know, what are in these players' heads and the ramifications of what just happened. We know he's playing in his first event, but guess what? Right now, there's a lot of programs being cut, and most of them have to do with minorities.
Yeah.
And so for an event that is focused on bringing access and inclusion into a game that has been, you know, we just say it, has been very exclusionary.
Yeah.
Those programs are getting cut right now. So for him to win in his hometown and have the support that he had at a golf club where, you know, Detroit Golf Club has the largest black membership of any private club in the country.
Wow. Yeah.
And so for all of those, you know, I guess stars to align in that order, and for him to win at this time really could save that event. And so, you know, like we talked about, you said Summer Woods was pretty happy.
She was.
that he won.
You know,
but
Summer Woods runs the tournament along with her partners and Intersport.
Well, you know, so we can talk about the impact it's going to have on the community
right
here in Detroit. We're going to talk about the impact it's going to have on Joe Hooks. But Joe Hooks beat some very, very talented players.
He did.
he just beat a kid who just was, pretty much in contention to make the cut at the U.S. Open last
that's right,
week.
Chase Johnson, right?
And Kieran Van Wyck, who almost won a PGA Tour event this February, right? So, it wasn't like he was just out there playing, 16 other guys. He was playing some very accomplished players. Willie Mack, who's made cuts on the PGA Tour, who's won the Shippen before. I mean, you can go down the line. Kevin Hall, who's played in PGA Tour events that had status. Right down the line of a lot of really great players. My namesake.
Right, Andrew Walker.
Andrew Walker was in the
son from another mother.
Yeah, that one's crazy. Having everyone ask me, tell me that my son played really well. And I was like, AJ didn't come out here today. So, but there's so many, things that just make for great storylines this week. Yeah. And I called Kenyatta. We saw Justin out there yesterday.
Kenyatta Ramsey and Justin Baker, right?
Yeah, from the PGA Tour, and their pathway to progression has really made a difference. And I was proud to see not just the games, but the maturation of these players. Yeah. There were professional golfers out there this week, and it was great to see.
Right. One of the things that you'll be able to look at going forward is a really good conversation with Kieran Van Wyck, who of course played at College of Charleston, is a pro now, the South African. So we're in depth with him about the way that he approached his practice round. So you're able to see that on the website and on our YouTube channel as well. And then Chase Johnson. Chase Johnson is a golf nerd. Man. And that was fun to see and talk to him as he was going through his practice round for the Shippen as well. You'll enjoy that conversation. What did you think about Chase and the way he approached the game?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's polished.
Yeah.
He's a very polished young man. He knows what he wants to do. He has a plan about doing it. Mm-hmm. I've heard that from a lot of mutual friends. It was great to finally spend some time with him and some of the other younger players. But Chase has got big show game. And he has a big show mindset, which I think in a big show work ethic, that's going to get him there. He knows what he wants to do. Right. He has a plan, and he's executing his plan, really well right now.
Get the full Edge experience on the web. Visit us and claim your free membership at theedge.show.
You kept saying that all week. And actually, that was the first time I heard you talk about big show game. Explain that concept of big show game.
Wow. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's like recruiting. Everyone says, what are you looking for in recruiting? I don't know, but I know it when I see it.
Right.
And so it's just the tightness of the ball flight. It's it's not pulling off every golf shot. When we walked with him, you'll see this wedge that he hits on number 3.
Yeah.
And it was the shot he kind of wanted to hit.
Okay.
I want to hit a little kind of trappy, chippy wedge back there. He left the face a little open, which he said has been a little bit of an issue for him. But he still hit it in a spot where he had the 30-footer, and he almost made it.
He almost made it, yeah.
So a situation where he didn't pull off the right, he didn't hit it the way he wanted to, but the plan was so good that he's in score mode at all times. He keeps himself on offense.
Okay.
And those are the players that are big show players that when they're playing well, they're going to shoot, really low numbers. Right. And when they're not executing, their plan is still good enough to keep them in contention.
And one of the things that a lot of those guys were doing was they were playing a birdie game.
That's right.
Right? Which for me, my thought was, oh, that's an interesting mindset that if you're constantly thinking about how do I make birdie at any given point, that's going to be the best way to unlock a golf course. Is that the way all pros think about their practice rounds?
Well, it really depends. Someone like Joe Hooks that won and Willie Mack, it made sense for them to play a birdie game because they have knowledge of this golf course. They're not trying to learn it. Right. Chase Johnson, Kieran Van Wyck, these guys are looking at this golf course for the first time. Yeah. And we saw they weren't playing birdie games so much, right? They were out hitting shots and really trying to find their way around this golf course. So, it really kind of depends so much. If we're out playing with our buddies on a Tuesday, or a Monday game or something, then maybe we'll play for a little bit of money if we know the golf course and then we know how it plays in competition. Right. So it really varies to experience. It varies to comfort of the golf course. It varies to environment. Kieran didn't know a lot of people there. So he said, I got there and everyone was kind of paired up, so I just went on my own, right? Yeah, right. But as he starts to to play with these players more,
Right.
and he's going to beat a lot of them a lot.
Yeah.
Then he's going to have his crew to play with, or maybe not. They may not want to play a birdie game with Kieran. I wouldn't want to play a birdie game with Kieran right now.
You know what was interesting? And you talked about not knowing different players, right? And Kieran in his conversation, and again, I would encourage you to go, find it on the website and on our YouTube. But Kieran talked about I was bored a little bit, and I do think that there's some, as you're an aspiring pro, and all of a sudden I don't have to do 20 hours in the classroom anymore. Now it's just golf. That can be lonely if you don't know a lot of people and you're out there with a lot of time on your hands.
Well, it's very lonely on the road. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone sees the inside the ropes
Right.
part of your day, which is 4 hours. We got 20 more hours we have to fill with sleep,
Right.
food. I probably did more food than sleep. But there's things you can do, and you can get lost.
Yeah.
And you can spend too much time on the golf course as well.
Okay.
There's been times where you get there and think about it. These young men have grinded their whole life to get inside the ropes.
Right.
It's tough leaving the ropes once you get inside. So you're there and everyone's paying you to wear this shirt, and they want you to put this sunglass on and to play this ball, and this is the newest and greatest wedge and driver, and you take advantage of that because it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And they're paying you to play this stuff.
That's right.
So you're hitting shots, and you may practice a little bit more. You may have already played in the morning and you want to get 15 minutes of practice. Now that turns into 2 hours. And so we're out there when the sun is beating on us, like this week.
Right.
And so, you get worn out, and you don't understand that will take effect a couple of days later.
Okay.
And
right.
so, that ties us back to talking to Joe Hooks about his body.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. He was very cognizant of all the media that he was doing, including us, on Sunday. And he said, am I going to play on the Pro-Am on Monday?
That's right.
Because I need to know right now if I'm playing in it, because that will determine how I'm prepping my body for the rest of the week. And that was interesting, I thought.
Very interesting. I think what was more interesting was the fact that he said his back started to lock up on the way to the first tee.
Yes.
Right? And he said he had a little leg cramping issue in there as well.
He did.
Well, he lives in Phoenix, so he's dealing with plenty of heat.
So is it heat?
Is
or
it
is it
heat?
stress?
It's stress. And stress and the emotions of the mental fatigue and the emotional fatigue. He had a lot riding on this, and a lot of
did.
people that wanted to see him play well.
Right.
And so all of those things, it has to release somewhere. And it releases in your body. NBA Finals, Game 7.
Tyrese Halliburton. It's crushing.
I have the zipper on the back of my leg. I understand what he's going through. And you could see in his face when he went down, he knew it. And it wasn't the pain, it was the emotion of not right now.
Right.
And those things happen, and they seem to happen a lot coming down the stretch when you're in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And I think it was very, very good that Joe Hooks has a plan of, if I'm playing, this is how I'm going to recover. If I'm not playing, this is how I'm going to recover. And I need to make sure that, he's very aware that there's a lot going on.
Right.
And he wanted to know yesterday from the tour,
Yes.
what are my obligations? So I can plan my week around that. Joe Hooks was not out partying.
No.
And so-
Everybody else around him was.
Everyone else around him, including myself. And so, and if you want the best old fashioned, we're gonna put the recipe on the YouTube channel, Instagram, everything. It's a hit. It's gonna be a smoked old fashioned. But Joe Hicks was not having that. Joe Hicks was planning on his rest and planning to get people around him prepared for what his week looks like. A lot of people probably know Joe for more being an influencer than a professional golfer, and he's changing that narrative really quick here.
Well,
And
I mean,
so-
look, if he had won the Myrtle Beach Classic, the Q, that would have been his first PGA Tour start, right? And so, yes, there are so many opportunities based on what some of these guys are able to do on social media. But at the end of the day, the best opportunity is what you do with a scorecard and a pencil.
That's right. He shot 10 under par in 2 days.
Yeah.
On the golf course, Detroit Golf Club that they're having the Rocket Classic.
Yes.
So it's not like he went and Monday qualified and shot a few under on a Muni.
Right.
He's playing the same conditions. He said, how many times did he say, I've played this golf course in harder conditions than the PGA Tour plays?
Yes. That's right. Not what they played in the Shippen.
That's right.
The PGA Tour plays.
What the PGA Tour plays. And I like this golf course in the wind. It fits me well in the wind. So all of the things that could be distractions or detractors from playing well, he's soaking, he's bringing in.
Right.
Right?
I thought it was interesting, and it's going back to that conversation about programs that are trying to expand the reach and the diversity of golf. It's interesting because you got the Charlie Sifford exemption.
That's right.
Right? Okay. So that was, what the Tiger Woods Foundation gives out for what is now the Genesis Invitational. That there is something different about the way people look at you when you are given an invitation, an exemption, or when you earn one in a competition.
That's right.
And the Shippen, obviously you got to beat some other guys to do it. So I do feel like that's one of the things that can keep that thing around is the fact that you got to beat people to be able to get in. It's not just the quote unquote gift.
That's right.
So to speak. What do you think about that idea and why the Shippen is not just good here, but potentially something that can be done and should be done in some other places, either on the PGA Tour or Korn Ferry Tour?
Well, I think it should be replicated in a lot of places. I mean, one, their sponsor exemptions given out every single week, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of time it's who you know or a hometown kid or the kid who won every junior championship there or but kind of going back to your question, it's always better when you earn it.
Right.
It's just always better when you earn it. I remember speaking with Jim Thorpe one time, and Jim Thorpe said, Andy, when I knew you were ready to play on tour? I said, what? He said, when I saw you get through the finals of Q School. He said, because nobody gave it to you.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Right? And he said, you went out there and you earned it through first stage, you earned it through second, and you got to finals.
Yeah.
And that was, and it's telling because it's that much more respect.
Right.
From the players, right? You earn your stripes that way. Other than, is it given to you or not? I mean, obviously they're not going to give it to a guy that shoots 93, right? They're going to give.
But they might give it to somebody who shoots 73, and that's not good enough.
And that's not good enough. And so the good thing about this is Joe didn't shoot 73 or 93.
That's right.
He shot some 67s in there and took it. And like I said, coming down the stretch, really impressed with not just his performance, but the aggressiveness of which he played coming down the stretch. He had the lead on 18 and threw it right behind the pin, spun it back, gave himself a look, was bombing it off the tee, hitting it 15, 20, 30 by his playing partners who aren't short players to begin with. And so I love everything about this story.
It was so great. I got a text this morning at breakfast from a buddy of mine, Michael Rosser. And by the way, if you are a subscriber at golf.theedge.show, I might shout you out on a podcast. But anyway, but Michael Rosser calls me. He texts me and says, "Oh, Joe's got the smoothest swing." And like that's one of his things on social, right? Is how he swings it and the like. And so it's great to me to see guys getting their due because they made the main thing, and that's what he did this week.
Well, it takes a village. Right?
Yeah.
And from Detroit Golf Club to the people that have supported him, his parents, his sponsors.
Yeah.
But the whole atmosphere is making him better. The APGA Tour is making him better.
Yeah.
Right? The pathway to progression is making him better. And so everything together is making them better, and being around these young guys this week, a lot of them I knew, some of them I had talked to and never had met. They call me Unc. I'm the Unc now, right? I'm not the old head.
50 years old, he got big Unc Energy now.
Now I'm big Unc Energy, right? But they were like, Unc, we just want to be able to just chop it up with you, and that means a lot to me. But for me, I get to give back, just like Thorpe and those guys did with me.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't understand, a lot of people don't understand what that means to have somebody that's a lot like you and looks like you and listens to the same music as you and does a lot of the same things, when you're in an arena and an atmosphere that isn't always like that. Right. Not everyone listens to the stuff that we listen to and does the things that we do and likes to go to the places we go to, and you can really feel like an outsider. So for someone else to put their arm around you and say that I'm in here with you means a lot. It did for me. Right. It did for me, and it still does to have those people around supporting.
Okay, let's take another break, and I'm going to surprise Andy with something. That's next. This is The Edge.
Never miss a new podcast when they drop. Subscribe to The Edge on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so this is the time of the show that Andy dreads. This is the bars exam, and rather than me giving Andy some bars, Andy is about to give you some bars, just like he did at this moment in the 50th birthday celebration. Let's go to the videotape. Yeah, I tried to make sure that I didn't give you a lot of the stuff that happened that night, but just a little taste. Andy was in his element, and he dropped some lines from, my favorite hip hop song is The Symphony. It's Marley Marl with the, all kinds of verses from an all-star lineup.
Craig G was in it, Master Ace, Cool G Rap,
and of course,
Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah. That was a blast to see. How long did you go? You went. I think you went like 8 songs deep. You might have gone a half hour just spitting at you with some freestyle at your own birthday party.
Oh man, it was. We had a good time. I appreciate you coming. A lot of friends came in from out of town, and some neighbors that I hadn't even met heard the party going, and the DJ was playing.
They just rolled up.
I think I was a couple of old fashions deep. And the microphone got passed, and I think he started out with Mind playing tricks on me.
Oh, he did.
And when I heard that, I had to. That's a special song.
When Halloween falls on a weekend, everything goes off.
Yeah. And so I make big money. I drive big cars. Everybody know me. It's like I'm a movie star, right? But it's it was a fun night. I didn't know it turned into a concert. So, I guess my karaoke debut.
Yeah, it was. God bless the DJ. He actually, I don't know if he found a way to drop the vocals a little bit or if you just got over the top of them. I think you might have just got over the top of them.
Probably. So, but no, it was a good time. The Symphony is definitely one of the top 5, my favorite hip hop songs of all time. Probably the best video. Just the intro to the video, before they even start the video, right?
Yeah.
And before they start rapping, just the walk in, the lead in, like it's the old Wild West, and they announce all the guys coming in, and Marley's on the keys, right? And then you got the little guy, the drunk dude. I don't care who's first or who's last, but y'all better rock this at the drop of a dime, baby, right? And they lead in, and so it was a fun night. Didn't know it was being caught on camera. So.
I sneaked a few things.
But it was fun. Everyone seemed to have fun, and that's we'll see what my next world tour looks like.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait about 10 years or so though, because I think everyone's gonna have to recover from 50. So give us until 60 and we'll figure it out. The one thing I will say to this is, every time, I think we may have to start the show in a different way. It may not be from a brother from another. It may just be always listen closely. Let your attention be undivided. Many in the past try to do what I did. That's how we should start every show, because we want you to listen closely. We want your undivided attention, and we want you to have the edge. That is Andy Walker. I am Scott Walker. Andy, say goodbye to the folks from the Game Above Performance Center, where we're going to do some more content as well.
I love it. Champions are made here. We're trying to make you into a champion. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
All right, y'all.